guys, Metal Chan, and welcome to the T49 review, the American Tier 8 light tank. What you need to know about this is, if you want to get a proper light tank, don't get this. This is the shittiest light tank at Tier 8 by far. It just sucks, flat out. You will be frustrated, and so on, and the gun is shit, and the ammo is shit, and everything is shit. But if you like derp guns, you probably want to play this tank, and I like derp guns, so I like to play this tank. Note that the ammo choices on this, you have regular HE, heat, and premium HE. The difference between the HE rounds is that this has slightly more penetration and way bigger splash radius, but I'm too cheap to use this in any of my replays, so using heat and regular HE. Heat is not premium ammo. Heat only has 52 penetration, so you have to be... you have to know what you're going to be shooting at when you load that heat. But that being said, looking into the armor, there's not really much to say. You're not going to squeeze out more than 100 armor anywhere here. There is some in the gun mantle, I think. Yeah, there you go, 112. But other than that, there's not much to say. Comparing it to 3090, soft stats are not that bad on the gun, but the gun itself is really bad, so you don't really feel the fact that you have pretty decent soft stats. When it comes to mobility, though, the tank feels a bit more sluggish than it should because of the soft stats. If you compare it to the M41 Bulldog, you can see that everything is way worse, and this doesn't make up for it. So the tank is more sluggish than the Tier 7 before, but I guess that's the price you pay for the derp gun. That being said, I don't think there's anything else I want to talk about in the garage. The gun depression is still alright though, minus 10 degrees and elevation plus 20. But that being said, I'm pretty sure we are ready to go to the replays. So here's the first game, playing on South Coast. This is South Coast, isn't it? I don't even remember. Well, whatever, playing on this map, playing solo. Typical Tier 10 game, expect to get a load of these. But before the action starts, let's look into the stats a bit. So, first of all, 1,100 hit points, a decent amount. It's a bit less than the RU-251, but it's alright. It's nothing to really complain about. Speed limit forward, 72 kilometers an hour. 24 backwards. 72 is quite optimistic. You don't really reach that all that much, but as long as you need to travel long distances, the tank will pick up speed and will be, as a light tank should be, really fast. What else there is to say about the tank? 44-degree traverse speed. It's alright. This tank is not the most mobile of the light tanks, so don't expect doing that much carousels around tanks. You need them tracked or really heavy and slow, but you can't ever expect to traverse around medium tanks and to do things like that. View range 400 meters, pretty damn good. Turret traverse 44 degrees, also pretty damn good. And then we come to this gun, the damned 152mm or whatever the fuck it is gun. As you see it fire there, I didn't take the shot because I don't want to kill my teammate before he died, so I took the shot only after my teammate died, so wasn't the greatest savior there, but at least I got the enemy, so that's what matters. So, what there is to say about the gun is that it has 3 ammo types, and it's gonna be important that you load the right one at the right time. I only use the regular HE, you can use the premium HE, it's just probably gonna be all around better, but kinda feels... to me, it kind of feels like throwing money away, so I'm not using that at all. Regular HE, 76mm penetration, can pen light tanks, can pen bat shots, can pen backs of medium tanks, backs of shitty heavy tanks. American heavy tanks tend to have really bad back armor. It's just about experience and knowing what you can and cannot penetrate. While the heat, the 152mm with the 152mm penetration is only good for shooting flat surfaces, flat and thin surfaces. It does less damage than HE, so wouldn't recommend it to shoot that much at light tanks. Maybe something like a T54 lightweight. But what heat is good at is shooting tanks that you know have a lot of ass armor, like an E100, like an E75. The tanks that you wouldn't be able to penetrate with your HE, shooting heat at those is the way to go. You will see me do that in this game as well. But yeah, just loading the right ammo at the right time can win or lose games with this tank. It definitely impacts how your game is going, and it can impact the entire team's performance. What else there is to note, the reload of the gun is around 20 seconds. You can get it a bit lower, but I'm not using ventilation. The equipment I'm using is vert stabs, rammer, and coated optics. Since it is a light tank, I still feel like the most important feature of this tank is to scout and only then shoot people in the face. So no gun length drive or ventilation on it for me. The DPM is horrible even with HE. Even if you penetrate every shot, the reload just, you can't have good DPM with that kind of reload. Accuracy 0.6 kV2 levels of accuracy. Aiming time 3.6 seconds. That's worse than on the i7, and since it's a light tank, you can just see how horribly big the aiming time is. Another thing to note is that it only carries 22 rounds, but what I wanted to say is that the aiming time you see on the screen does not represent the actual aiming time of the tank. Whenever you zoom in into your sniper mode, the view range circle only expands as much as it can, even though actual aiming circle is way bigger than that, but there is no way to change that in the vanilla World of Tanks version. If you have any sort of server reticle or using my mode pack, then you will be able to see your actual aiming circle, and it can be sometimes surprising that's like 3 times bigger than the aiming circle World of Tanks actually shows you. And now back to the game. So at the start of the game I didn't shoot the 3090 because I know how this gun works. I know I would have just missed, and I know I would have just spooked him. And now, unfortunately, 2 shots, none of them penetrate, but I get to ram this fellow, so it's alright, can't really complain. I've done 2.2k damage so far. Apart from killing the 1390, I haven't really done much more than killing this light tank. So for now, only really have killed light tanks, but this game is pretty... It's not far from over, but the thing is that the people on the 1 to 3 line could easily rip him pepperonis if the Waffle plays aggressive, and that's exactly what he's doing right now. So I don't think that this game is over just yet. Before we get into any action, the crew skills I would use on this is obviously Sixth Sense, Smooth Right Snapshot, extremely important. Both of those are probably more important than the repairs or camo. And choosing between repairs and camo is not that simple. And here you go, here's the HE, here's the potential you can do. The Waffle is so big that it's hard to miss even with this gun, so I took the shot without even going into first person. And now just fuck off and run away. There's no real point to fight an IS-7 and an IS-8 frontally with this gun. It's just not gonna be worth it at all. So how about what you want to do in this tank? What about tactics and shit? Well, the first thing is you always have to try to be an early spotter in any light tank, in any fast tank in my opinion. That's where optics come in handy, and since it is a light tank you get to places fast. Sometimes it's really nice to get the early shots off real quick. For instance, in this game I could have shot the 1390, but I choose not to because I wasn't certain in my aiming, and with server reticle this thing can... You see how bad the aiming circle spreads whenever you turn your turret, so it is almost impossible to shoot moving targets. You have to predict where your target is gonna go, and you have to lead your shot that way. You can't follow your target with your gun with expecting to hit anything. So now I went around. I'm not really sure about this play anymore because now it's basically three tanks against them, and I'm facing them frontally with the light tank for some reason. So this position is pretty damn far from ideal, and this is how this gun works. You aim at somebody and you miss. I mean, these 2 games I've had, it's like 1 in 100 game where you actually have a good game where you can pen most of the things you shoot at, or even hit them, not even talking about penning. And this position, as I said, is pretty damn bad. I don't even know what am I really doing here, but I'm gonna wait till the Death Star pushes behind them, and then we'll see what happens. Death Star just fired, I'm pretty sure, so maybe some of them are going to be attracted to that more than they will be attracted to this side. IS-8 takes one into the face. He fires heat, misses. I'm gonna go out and shoot. As long as you don't move your turret too much, the spread on the aiming circle is actually not that horrible. But once you start aiming your turret different ways, then you're gonna get fucked. And you see me here now loading HE. My plan was to shoot Lorraine with HE and then load heat for the IS-7, but since the Lorraine died, we're switching to heat. There's nothing, absolutely nothing you can do with 75 penetration to an IS-7. You can do 300 damage pretty much, and that's what you are looking at in this tank if you don't pen. So loading heat into the IS-7's ass, he's obviously tunneling away from me. This would be silly for him to look at me, and here's 703 damage for me on the IS-7. Note that the heat obviously does less damage than HE if it penetrates. So here's the template, 2176 experience earned with the premium ace tanker, 3958 damage done and 1300 assisted. Tracking people is extremely easy in this tank, you just have to hit it right, and as long as you meet light tanks or as long as you meet tanks that you can penetrate like the Waffle, it's not actually that hard to do damage in this tank. But the problem is that this tank has 20-second reload, so you can't be too opportunistic when you're looking for your targets. You have to make sure that you have cover to fall behind and reload. You can't go in aggressive against like 1390s, but because they will just fuck you up. But that being said, I'm pretty sure that's it for this game. 10 shots fired, 7 hits is not the worst ratio ever with this gun, and I'm pretty sure we are ready to go into the replay. So let's go. So here's the second game, the game I was teasing you up on Facebook. So first of all, good matchmaking, can't really deny it. Only tier 9s, but looking at the map, our team is not going to the right positions at all. Most of the team is leaving the hill and going to the train station for some reason. But the start of my game, can't really complain too much. I mean, there's 3 ways you use this gun. You either go 2 meters from your enemies and then try to hit them, or you aim fully and then try to hit them, or you just snapshot and YOLO from distance and hope that you'll hit them. You'll see all 3 types of shots in this game, obviously. But the first shot, obviously, from that distance is not that hard to hit, and the RU-251 doesn't have any armor. And what I'm deciding here now is that if I stay up there, I'm probably going to lock myself up and lose a lot of health trying to run away when it's too late. So I'm going to stay on the bottom. 10 degrees of gun depression is going to be plenty to fuck them up if they play too aggressive. And I'll be able to keep tabs on my teammates and help them if they need my assistance. Obviously, I'm only shooting HE at this point because most of the targets I meet are quite heavily armored frontally, and I am engaging them frontally. I don't really have a choice. But as you see, I'm not peeking up there and taking any chance I have to shoot anyone. I'm just waiting because I know there's a Ferdinand sitting there, and me trading with the Ferdinand is a bad idea. But if he fires at somebody else, I will take the shot, obviously, because why not? If he's just sitting there and he just has fired like he just did, then I can peek up and just take my shot. And I hit him pretty well in one of the thinnest parts of the armor, so 306 roll is not great for that kind of shot, but you can't really complain. And when you don't move your turret, as I said, the aiming circle spread is actually not that worse from accelerating and driving backwards, so that is something to note. You want to try to avoid turning the turret when you peek for your targets. Quite a lucky shot. I probably even had a chance of hitting my own 5120. A pretty average roll, 314 with the HE again. Can't really complain since the shot was not very well aimed. So 5120 bites the dust, sadly. Centurion 7-1 isn't playing the best game either at the moment. There is still 3 tanks left on the hill. Most of the enemy team is also not on the hill. Thank God, otherwise I'm pretty sure they would have just ran over. But even now it looks like a defeat. They have a 5120, they have an IS, and no, they have a 5100. They have an IS, and this M103 is the biggest issue, especially if our Centurion isn't on the point. Shot into his turret, 230 damage, not the highest roll ever, but I'll take it since I didn't get shot for it. And this is the kind of situation where this tank performs decently well. You are playing support from distance and you are just trying to do damage to tanks that are focusing on some other people. And now look at the Centurion's play. He basically gets shot for free and pretty much dies for no reason, which is really unfortunate because I needed him alive just to be able to support him for longer. And now he bites the dust, and I'm gonna take the shot on the 103, even though the KV-3 almost drove into it. Now, since I'm a light tank, I can move around the place quite quickly, and that's probably the best thing about this tank and this combination. You have a huge cannon on a fast tank, so you can change the angle of your engagement reasonably quickly, and the only problem is the reload, and managing that when you YOLO too hard can be a problem. But here, it should not be any problem for me to take this guy out. As you can see, I'm trying to drive close enough to maximize my chances of hitting them, but obviously if I have to make sure that my shots hit, otherwise it's just waste of time, and with this reload you can't afford to waste your time at all. So the IS is actually rushing and getting shot by a KV3, so I don't need to even penetrate him, even though apparently IS as armor is thin enough for me to get a proper penetration. Now I am loading another HE shell. I am going to try to hit some of them in the middle there. And the T25 looks like a fine target for that. There's Tiger there as well, but I don't really want to shoot the Tiger with HE ammo because 76 penetration and Tiger has 80 side armor, so that's not gonna happen. The T25 too notices me, so I fire my shot without really aiming it fully, but it does hit. It does quite a bit of damage to him as well, as he is not the highest tier target out there. Now I am loading heat because as far as I'm aware, the only target I'm gonna meet there is the Tiger 1, and when you deal with Tiger 1's 150 penetration is way more than enough to pen him, so heat ammunition is what you want to use for shooting Tiger 1s for sure. And even if I meet the T25 too, I should be able to pen him with this amount of penetration. And let's see, it seems the Tiger 1 is running away, so my target probably is going to be the T25 too. I don't really want to fight the 5120 or the 704 or anything like that for now. It would be nice to take out their friends before. And yeah, heat shell into the T25 too. It's not like it's premium, so I don't really care what shell I shot at him. As it will turn out later in the game, probably needed heat more than HE, but another heat shell is being loaded in now just for this Tiger 1. Just because I can pen his side reliably with this, and I'm gonna aim kinda long enough, kinda not, but I wanted to just take my chances and fuck off before the 5120 arrives, and lucky ammo rack, can't really complain about that at all. So 2 hit point, the 5120 has arrived. The problem with that is that he has an auto loader, obviously, so he can dish out a lot of damage, and with this aiming time, I'm just gonna take a try to make a lucky shot into his tank. Again, this is the kind of shots you should take. I didn't aim for shit and I hope that I get lucky. And since he fired at me, I had a bit more time to aim there, but I fired before I really realized that I was shot, so that was not the best play of me, and I got really lucky there, no real doubt about it. So now T4 fighting the IS-8. Things about the IS-8 is that you can't pen the back of their turret, you have to hit it right in the middle of the back of the turret, and I didn't really have that shot, so I take one into his front hull for 274 damage. Not the highest damage roll, but damage kinda adds up over time. Even if you do 200-300 damage per shot, obviously the Tiger ammo worked help, but even without that, that would be a 3k damage or so. Now, really nicely done by our IS to take out that IS-8. I guess the IS-8 was not angling very well against the IS, so that is really, really nice for our team. And now, in theory, I should or could load heat against this Tiger 2, but I'm not sure if I will be able to pen him or get besides him, because I don't really want to take damage, and if possible I would like to track him before he can actually shoot me. The problem with this is that the 704, if he kills the KV3 and this Tiger lives for too long, I might run into an issue that these guys will try to flank me, and since the IS is on 18 health, I can't really rely on him too much, and sadly the KV3 dies, so I need to put up my pace here, and I will need to make sure that this Tiger 2 dies reasonably soon. As you can see, the 704 is relocating, and I almost take a shot just because I was looking at where the 704 is going. I will take this risk of getting shot by the Tiger 2. It paid off because he missed, even though if he didn't, it didn't really matter. Since I'm a one shot for the 704 regardless, it doesn't really matter. My health amount doesn't really matter, is what I'm trying to say here. So now there's a couple of ways to approach this. First one is to try to flank him with the IS. Second one is that he fucks up like he kinda is now. The thing is that he probably realized that he's doing something really, really stupid, so he changed his mind reasonably quickly. And the third one is I get lucky and I track him, and then I can go around him and fuck him up, and that is not the case. I could have aimed way more there though, so that was a pretty poor play by me once again. I will wait till obviously I reload. I want to relocate somewhere else, but it would be nice to keep this close distance to a 704. He is aiming at the IS, and he just fired. He kills the IS, so I am going in. This is all in pretty much now. If he gets to somewhere where I can go around him, then I'm gonna be wrecked. My shot doesn't hit anything, which is unfortunate. Would have been nicer to track him, but I can park right next to him, which is what I'm doing now. He repairs his tracks, I repair my tracks, and now barely I make it behind him. If I didn't make it there, I might have been in trouble, but at this point it's pretty much over. You cannot shake off a light tank from you like this, even with the help of houses. I mean, if he did it right away, like drove to the corner of the house that is now behind me and like shut me off, then maybe he could have tried it, but even that would be quite unlikely. As it is now, he doesn't really have to stand a chance to shake me off. As you can see, wherever he goes, I go there faster. There was one close call in this fight, but it wasn't even that dangerous. As you can see, like wherever he goes, I go. And since 704 is not famous for its great horsepower per ton ratio, I will be able to hold my own ground. He's not going to be just able to push me away. Now, if he drove backwards there, that was the close call. If he drove backwards there, he would have actually killed me. Well, not killed me, he would have actually shook me off from his ass, but he didn't do it, so here's the last heat shell into his back. Could have. I'm not sure if you can pen a 704 with HE, but I didn't want to take the risk, so I heated this. There were a couple of reasons why you don't want to shoot HE at that range, is because you most of all because you can do damage to yourself if you don't pen your enemy. So that was my main motivation why heat was loaded over HE. But if you look at the end play, 2,947 experience with premium, no missions. So my highest experience ever. Ace Tanker, Bradley Walters, Top Gun, and a high caliber. 6,119 damage done with 8 kills, 1,965 base experience. It was around 30,000 VN8 if you're interested in that. But I'm pretty sure I did quite a bit more than you would expect from a light tank to do in a game like this. But as I said, games like these happen once in a lifetime, pretty much, in a tank like a T49. So don't expect going buying a T49 and just rounding around and doing 6-7k damage every game. That's just not how the way this tank works. Most of the time you miss. Most of the time you don't have the opportunities to do what I did here. And it is always nice when you have the chance, but it doesn't happen often. T49 as a tank, as I said, it's pretty damn bad. It is hilarious though because it has a derp gun, so that is the only reason why I would ever recommend this tank to anyone. If you want the light tank with a huge ass derp gun, this is the one to go for. Otherwise, just stick to tier 7 Americans or just get a German tier 8 light tank if you actually are interested in capable ones. I hope you enjoy this review, and I will see you on the next one. It's Metal Jen, and welcome to another Is It Worth the Grind video. Today we are looking at the Chinese heavy tank line, aka the 113 line. As always, you can skip to whatever